locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I've said it 1,000 times before. I'm Ric Flair. I'm the world champion. And you are a pumped up, nothing happening, overstuffed punk from the gym.
Well, first off, I don't even know where to begin. You're not Ric Flair. Let's start there. And second, are you trying to get beat up by Roman Reigns? Because you keep provoking him.
Listen, there's no surprise how I feel about Roman Reigns, okay? We all know he's my arch nemesis.
Well, yeah. Wait a minute. People don't have arch nemesis in real life.
Well, I do, okay?
What are you, Sherlock Holmes? People have Iron Man. You don't have an arch nemesis. There's no such thing.
Roman Reigns, get out of this business. Get rid of the contract. Get out of my life.
It's because he's better looking, isn't it? That's what this comes down to. You're very vain.
Listen.
You're vain. You come in here well-heeled, well-dressed, nice cap on.
That's right.
But that he's got all the muscles and he's on TV. That's what this is.
No,
it goes down to some real basic stuff with you.
Let me tell you something. Let me put this in some words that everyone can understand. Roman Reigns,
You are a pumped up, nothing happening, overstuffed punk from the gym that doesn't know what it is to wear alligator shoes. You understand? Huh? To wear cut-them-in clothes. To ride limousines. To have the whole world at your feet because you're the best there is.
Okay. I don't even know where to begin. That wasn't you saying that.
Hey.
That was the great Ric Flair.
You understand?
The actual Ric Flair.
You understand?
And I believe he's talking to Sting in that promo.
Well, close enough. Roman Reigns, Sting is the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Except that Ric Flair is a professional wrestler who has years of experience working with and intimidating his rivals. And you can't do very good impressions. I think that's what it comes down to.
Whatever, wise guy. Welcome back to Duke Loves Rasslin. I am the Duke. And yes, I do enjoy doing pro wrestling impersonations, and I'm going to keep on doing them no matter what my illustrious co-host, the Boston bad boy Iron Mike Pelosi,
I got to say, to me, the funniest part of that promo is before the clip we played, he yells at somebody in the crowd, to shut up, punk.
That's right.
He's in the middle of screaming at Sting, and he just has a moment to look over, and someone must have been doing something, and he just tells him to shut up, and then he gets back to what he's doing. Complete insanity.
That's what's missing in pro wrestling today. I mean, when you have a guy like Ric Flair who can just start talking and listen, Sting, you're this. You keep your mouth shut, punk, and it gets right back on track. Like he didn't skip a beat.
You just inspired a question for me for later. So,
oh boy!
See how you do that? You inspire stuff.
All right, you're gonna start your nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, folks, we have the Hall of Fame sports journalist Peter Vescey. He's joining us today for a very special interview, and I'm telling you, I can't wait for that. We have more of your listener-submitted questions, a.k.a. Ask Duke, all that plus Run the Ropes. But before we get to any of that, I want to thank you. That's right, you, the loyal listeners of Duke Loves Rasslin. Thanks for tuning in on iTunes and other podcast apps. Thanks for sending me messages on Twitter and Facebook, although, once again, sometimes you don't agree with me, which I don't like.
Beautiful.
Okay? No, it's not beautiful. Quick reminder that all of our episodes are archived on YouTube, so if you missed any of the previous episodes, hey, just type in Duke Loves Rasslin and hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Keep sending us your support, and we'll keep bringing you top-notch pro wrestling audio entertainment. Jack. It's time to run the ropes. I give my opinion on the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling. Let's go. Will Kenny Omega sign with WWE? According to SportsIllustrated.com, Kenny Omega will be taking time away from Japan. Now, this has fueled speculation that he's leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling to sign with WWE. Adding more fuel to the fire is that no good John Cena. He tweeted out a photo of Omega and then tweeted a South Park photo with the caption, "I am Kenny." Remember, Cena played these same games when it came to AJ Styles when he left New Japan Pro Wrestling to join the WWE. So what does this all mean? personally, I hope Kenny Omega is able to make a huge payday out of whatever he does here, whoever he signs with. But I have no faith that he's going to be able to get over in the WWE, okay? Keep in mind, he came from the developmental system in the WWE, and he failed. He bombed. They got rid of him, okay? Goes over to Japan, makes himself a star. Is he really going to come back? Are they really going to put him over guys like that Punk Roman Reigns or Dean Ambrose or AJ Styles? Come on.
There's only one reason why they'd bring him back. There's only one reason, and this goes to what we talk to week after week after week on this show.
Here we go.
Which is, yeah, we'll bring him, but come back in. It's your Uncle Vince. Come back in. Come back in.
Then what?
Oh, now you came back. You made your star. Well, now you're in some insane contract, and now we're going to talk about, your back hair or your impotence on television, and we're going to make you look like a complete fool. Maybe we'll put you in a polka dot jumpsuit. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, listen to last week's show.
You're terrible.
You can continue now.
Enough. Alberto Del Rio beats up his own brother. Whoa. According to ProWrestlingSheet.com, Alberto and his brother got into some sort of fight in Austria, of all places. Okay? Now, this was originally with other people. But while at the police station, Alberto decided to teach his brother a lesson and proceeded to beat him up so bad, the police had to wash blood off of the walls. When are people going to stop engaging in hand-to-hand combat with Alberto Del Rio? I mean, don't they know that this guy doesn't play around and he'll just beat the living daylights out of you? This is at least the third person in the past 5 months that Alberto's beaten bloody. And
this is at least the first wrestling match that it's had real blood, like a real steel cage, and I don't know how long. I mean, at least he's doing some legitimate matches there.
Smith Hart receives troubling news. Yes, folks, according to his personal Facebook page, Smith Hart, one of Stu Hart's many sons and the brother to Bret and Owen Hart, he's been given 1 year to live. Now, fortunate enough for him, he was given this heads up, and Smith has made it a point to celebrate his final year of existence. He'll be having an engagement on the 21st of January at Spiro's in Calgary for any fans who will be up north. Reach out to Smith. Let him know that you plan on attending because space is limited. But outside of that, follow him on Facebook because he's a great follow and share some stories or feelings that you have for him and the Hart family, folks. Undertaker in the Royal Rumble. As announced on Raw and reiterated on SmackDown Live, The Undertaker will indeed participate in this year's Royal Rumble. It's amazing when you consider names like AJ Styles, New Day, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Goldberg, and now The Undertaker, they'll all be in the same Royal Rumble match. Now look, this is going to rival the 1992 Royal Rumble, which is considered the greatest of all time because of so many Hall of Famers being in the ring at one time here. Who's going to win? What's going to happen? You'll have to tune in live on January 29th on the WWE Network. WrestleMania 34 will take place at the New Orleans Superdome. That's right, WrestleZone.com announced it, folks. WrestleMania returns to New Orleans in 2018. This mega event is happening at the Superdome. Now, don't forget, 3 years ago, Undertaker lost the streak, okay? He lost to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Will he stick around to avenge that loss? Keep in mind, though, that's a year away. This year's WrestleMania is going to be going down in Orlando April 2nd. Can't wait to tune in. Wait a second. You've heard what I think. Now, what do you think? Head over to Facebook, head over to Twitter, type in Duke Loves Rasslin. Do you agree with what I have to say? Do you disagree? It's up to you. Boston Bad Boy, he's being a wise guy over here, folks. He's distracting me. I don't know what his problem is, but hey, that's all right. That does it for Run the Ropes. Up next, we have him, the legendary sports journalist, Peter Vescey.
This is Dusty Wolf, and I invite all you wrestling fans to join me over here on Duke Loves Rasslin.
You know, folks, when we decided to start this podcast, one of the things that was my number one mission was to have a platform where we can bring on pro wrestlers that I loved watching, journalists, and also fans who all share a love and a passion at some point in their life for this wonderful sport of pro wrestling. Well, folks, today we have a wise guy who I don't know. I mean, he grew up loving pro wrestling, but there was a turning point at some point in his life where maybe things changed. Nonetheless, he is a legendary Hall of Fame sports journalist, and he's also the least famous person in his family. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I give you Peter Vescey. How are you, Peter?
I'm good. I'm 73 years old, and I'm doing good.
Man, it's funny. When we go online and we type in Peter Vescey on YouTube, the first thing that pops up is Peter Vescey is trying to get punched out by Karl Malone. All right?
That's what people are saying. That's what people say. I mean, I wasn't trying to get punched. That wouldn't be too smart if I was trying to do that.
Well, he's a huge dude. But,
yeah, I mean, let me explain that a little bit.
Please.
I've done this before, but I'll do it again. I was just asking him questions, kind of following up on an interview we had done previously. And, he was always very, very, very good with reporters. You could ask him anything. You could. Some guys, like if you ask John Stockton, if you asked him anything, that was that he found disrespectful or he didn't even, personal, he'd stop the tape. He'd walk away. But Karl Malone would answer anything. So I was really just asking him questions, that were pertinent to the situation. And years and years later, it came up on YouTube. My son actually said to me, have you seen this? And I said, no. I didn't even remember it.
Wow.
And I swear, I did not remember it. Once I saw it, I remembered it, but, it wasn't something that I walked off away from Karl, and everyone goes, whoa, wow, what did you do? Nobody said a word. So it's all years later perspective that's warped, actually.
Well, folks, if you head over to Duke Loves Rasslin at Facebook, I'm going to put up the video. It was right after the Utah Jazz lost to the Chicago Bulls in the NBA Finals, and literally Peter was able to get Karl Malone as he walked off the court, and he's backstage there, and I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, I was working for NBC. Of course, they were gonna give us somebody from the losing team. I wasn't allowed in the winning locker room. They thought I was better, dealing with tough questions with the losing team. So that's usually what I got. And then again, I seen it years later, and I said, yeah, all right, I kind of get what they're thinking, but. About, let me say, the New Orleans All-Star game, I guess, 3 years ago. I don't know if it was, there were two of them already. Now there's a third one coming up.
I know.
And we were at the old, I guess it was the Hall of Fame induction of ABA people. They were announcing who was being inducted and who was being nominated from the NBA. And Karl was there, and I was with Bob Pettit and James Jones from the ABA, and all from Louisiana, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Karl was there, and I said, Karl, I said, people are really like going crazy about this interview I did with you. And he said I said they thought you were going to hit me. He said I wouldn't going to hit you. I don't think I like the questions, but I said, Karl, you and I should do a radio show together. He says, well, you know where to find me.
You got to do that, brother.
Well, that was 3 years ago. I don't think we're going to do it, but I'm just saying it was like no big deal.
Well, listen, I'm telling Karl Malone out there, because I'm sure he'll be listening, you're more than welcome to come on the Duke Loves Rasslin show, and we'll get Peter back on, and once and for all, we can settle this thing here. Now, Peter...
No, I settled it.
You settled it.
There it is.
You settled it. Now, seriously, though, when was the moment in your entire career that you felt that maybe somebody was going to cross over that line because they really took exception to something that you said to them?
What do you mean? One of the 10? Which one of the 10 do you want? 10, 20? I don't know.
Which one do you think was the hottest one?
Oh, Riley wanted to fight me outside the locker room, with me and him and the PR guy and a security guard.
Wow.
Spencer Haywood chased me down Nick hallway, wanted to punch the shit out of me. It's like I wasn't going to stand there and debate anything with Spencer Haywood. Years later, it turns out everything I wrote was on the money about what he was doing. But Billy Cunningham, Warren Jabali, there's a long list. Frank Layden and his son-in-law.
Oh, no.
Who's a football player. Yeah, long list.
I have to say that I have to thank Peter for putting his neck on the line to pushing these questions with guys, because there's such a cyclical nature to sports interviews, especially in the post game and stuff, where they sort of just, the athletes and the coaches or whatever, they'll just kind of give you the line. And I just, especially that YouTube video, you just went right for it, and always have gone right for it. Give us something, even though you risked your own bodily harm. I have to say thank you.
Well, again, it was the way that I covered the league, and there were. I wasn't the only one that was asking tough questions, and truly, I didn't ask the questions in a crowd. It was always just me and the guy.
True.
No, you wouldn't know that. I mean, I never. If there was a gangbang on somebody. There were guys in our group that would ask really tough questions that I cringed and thought about punching the guy out. So, but I wasn't going to ask my questions in front of a crowd and then they'd know where I was coming from. I would save it one-on-one for interviews or, that I was doing for NBC or for the Post exclusively or just in the locker room after it cleared out.
Now, where does that style come from? Because here's the thing. Your legacy is built on two distinctive situations here. Number one, you're one of the most controversial people to ever do it, okay, because you ask those tough questions. But number two, you're also one of the most respected. Where did that style come from, a style of journalism and interviewing there?
Well, look, I don't know how old are you?
34 years old.
Yeah, you're a baby. I mean,
See?
So you probably don't know who Dick Young was.
No.
But he was a columnist for the New York Daily News, and then he became the sports editor as well. And he had that style, and I grew up on that style, reading him. And then I went to work at the Daily News, and never thought I was going to write. And then once I did start writing, I would definitely copy the style of people who I read as a kid. And he was one of the key guys, and he was very, very famous, but the same as me, not liked by a lot of people as well. And so he was a key guy, but there were many guys. Leonard Schechter, who wrote the book, Jim Bouton's book. He was the co-author of that, and he had that kind of style. And there were plenty of guys, And again, TV, you didn't have sports reporters on TV back in those days, so most people would not know it, but you'd certainly know it by reading them.
Now you have a sports journalist family too, isn't that correct? I mean, your brother, he wrote for the.
Right.
Was it the Times?
He wrote for the Times.
That's right.
The Times. He started at Newsday. But let me throw one other guy out there, Larry Merchant. Who
of course,
sure
absolutely.
Well, he was certainly that style,
Yeah.
and even on TV he was that style. But he was a guy that I read as a young guy, and I idolized Larry Merchant the way he covered it. Paul Zimmerman, another one. There were many of them, but again. You see Merchant because he got onto TV with boxing, and he did ask tough questions, and you see the way he handled
Floyd Mayweather wanted to knock him out a couple years back. You remember that?
So there you go. I certainly didn't originate tough questions or anything like that.
Now, your mom and dad were in the business too, right?
They were. My father and mother worked for the Long Island Press. They were both editors. My father was the sports editor. My mother was the society editor. And that was before I was born. And I believe, I'm not really sure, but pretty close to it. And both of them got let go because they helped start the union.
Oh.
And they got their heads cracked on the picket line and stuff. And so they were both fired. And they didn't have to do that. They were editors. They didn't have to, but they believed in that stuff. And so, I certainly get my edge from my father. There's no question. I wish I had my mother's intelligence and my father's, but my father was a fighter, and he had a hell of a temper. Not for the kids.
Well, I'll tell you, you may have passed down that intelligence. It might have skipped a generation, because when we take a look at the fact that Mike, your son Mike, he's a professor.
Right.
You have Joe, who is a fantastic comedian and a podcaster in his own right there. Shout out to Joseph Vescey there, good guy. But your daughter, Taylor K. Vescey, she is in the journalism world as well, right? Right.
She's working for the East Hampton Star. We live on Long Island. And she's been working for them for a long time. And she worked for the Post for a long time, part-time. And they offered her a full-time job, but she didn't want to come to the city. So she's out in Long Island. She's takes after me in a lot of ways as far as reporting. She knows how to break stories.
She's sharp, man.
Tremendous contacts. And she has broken some big stories out there. She's the one that broke the Jason Kidd being drunk, hitting the pole.
Yep.
She broke Madonna falling off her horse. Big stories.
Wow.
But so she's really good. It's interesting that Joseph. That's what we call him. We don't call him Joe.
Uh-oh. Sorry there, Joseph. Sorry.
That's all right. So he's out here now, and he's got a comedy show tomorrow at the theater in Sag Harbor, and he's got that like 6 times a year or 8 times a year out there, and he's traveling around with Adam Sandler opening for him. He did that last month in 4 cities.
Wow.
Worked on his last 2 movies, and so he's on the cusp.
So how does it feel to be the least famous Vescey out of your part of the family? There?
You know what? I think that's the goal. Yeah. That is the goal. To be somebody to say, hey, that's Joe Vescey's father.
Yeah, it's funny because I sent out a tweet saying that's Joe Vescey's dad, and it was amazing how many retweets that got. Which was like people signing off saying, "Oh yeah, Joe's dad." Yeah,
he's got those Optimum commercials, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. This dude is rolling, man. Now, you're the king of the monikers and the one-liners. All right. You at one point you dubbed Coach Larry Brown Next Town Larry.
Next Town Brown.
Next Town Brown. Larry Bird was Lucky Larry.
No, it wasn't Lucky Larry.
That's what you said. Come on, we got it on tape now.
No. Larry Legend. Larry Legend. Come on, get them right now. Why would it be Lucky Larry? If I had done what Pat Riley did, with Three-Peat and taken out a pattern on it, on Larry Legend, I'd be so rich today, it's crazy. All the hats and shirts and everything that have Larry Legend on it. Oh my God!
But didn't you do Air Jordan as well?
Yeah, I did that. But that deserves a qualification because it was his rookie year. It was an exhibition game at the Garden. He was wearing shoes that were called Air Jordans. So all I did was start calling him Air Jordan. That in that first column I wrote about him at the Garden, and I just I saw him play for the first time in person and went nuts. And so his agent David Falk always gave me credit for making it a household name, Air Jordan, by it was in the headlines and it stuck, and other things.
And you made Nike a huge pile of money out of that too. I mean, that was probably
and I still get the residuals.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
So, all right, that was my follow-up. I hope you're still getting some of the residuals off that. I mean, that's the best probably byline you could ever get.
Now, listen, you're a New York guy. Did you ever go to any of the wrestling matches there? Because that's one thing.
I did.
See?
I did.
See? Talk to us about some of your favorite wrestlers there.
I used to watch wrestling all the time. And Antonina Rocca and Ricky Starr and, God, refresh my memory.
Buddy Rogers? Buddy Rogers?
Who?
Buddy Rogers, the Nature Boy? No?
No.
Well,
I mean, those were my two guys. I love those two guys, and so I swore it was real, and I was working for the New York Daily News in high school, and this reporter named Red Foley, he used to cover the wrestling at the Garden. They actually covered it, and I was like, Red, man, you think you can get me a ticket, blah, blah. And he said, I'll do better than that. Come to the Garden. You can sit next to me at ringside.
Wow.
And so I did. And, I don't want to disillusion any of your listeners, but that was the last time I believed in fairy tales, So
It's still real to me.
That's right.
Because I could see it, it's like, oh, my God, you mean that's not really blood? Oh, my God, what's going on? So, Red was a real cantankerous curmudgeon. I love Red. He really helped my career out a lot. And so he said to me, all right, you cured?
Oh, no.
That was it.
We're still trying to cure Duke, so I don't know. Your chances aren't that good.
I'm not giving up. Now, if you were at Madison Square Garden during those times, you must have seen Bruno Sammartino. I mean, he owned the Garden, basically.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm saying you got to throw some names that I haven't thought about.
Pedro Morales, those guys.
Absolutely one of them.
Yes. Now, listen, I don't know if you know this or not, but Shaquille O'Neal is going to be at this year's WrestleMania, April 2nd. He's going to be facing the Big Show in a wrestling match. So my question to you is, do you think Shaq will be more successful in a wrestling match than he was at shooting free throws?
If he took a free throw attempt while he was on the mat, he probably couldn't hit the mat.
It's just amazing to see this guy's career. I mean, you talk about a guy that understood how to reinvent himself so many times over, Shaq.
Yeah.
Movies, rapping,
made a lot of money.
All that. Made a lot of money. Made a lot of money.
I mean, he swears that he never cashed a check that he got paid by a team.
Yep.
He's lived off all his endorsements, and I believe it. I have no idea how much he makes, but he endorses everything.
Can't blame him.
No, I don't blame him. I blame him for being on TNT where he sucks. But you would think the guy had better things to do than to act like an idiot and say nothing on television. But that's that show.
Yeah.
I hate to disillusion you again, but that's that show. And so he's in his element, and
he plays it well.
I lost a lot of respect for him. You would think, seriously, all the money he's got, you would think that he could spend his time more wisely than to act the fool on television.
Well, he is going to WrestleMania, so I mean,
that'll straighten it out.
I almost feel like that might be a more legitimate use of his time than the television show. And
I'm not going to argue that.
One question to you, and I always like to sort of look at wrestling from an outside perspective as an industry, as a sport, or sports entertainment is what they call it. And you've covered so much of professional sports. What is your opinion as a journalist, on sort of professional wrestling as a whole, the whole enterprise? Not getting into the nitty-gritty of, real or, obviously there are limitations onto what really happens. But as far as entertainment for people, as far as sort of sports-based entertainment, what do you think?
I don't think about it at all.
Wow. Wow.
I was just curious, in the world of sports journalism, where does it sort of
You're not going to
sit,
get me to say anything positive, so I just it just doesn't appeal to me at all. And
once it was ruined for you, that was it, right?
I'm much happier watching Family Feud.
Wow. Now, the original Family Feud or the modern version? 'Cause I think the old school.
No.
The old school is way better.
No, this one. I love this one. I don't miss it.
Well, since you jumped out
I will
on
miss the Warriors versus the Spurs and watch
over Family Feud. Wow, listen to that. Since you jumped out there, I got to ask you, since you gave your take on Shaq, what about Charles Barkley on that same show?
I'm sure you've read what I've said about him over the years, and it's just I don't want to be redundant, but I suffer fools. I'm very intolerant of it, and I think he's a joke. He's a joke, but they seem to like a guy that's going to be stupid, say stupid things, and every once in a while he'll. Look, I got to tell you, I've stopped watching 2 years ago.
Oh,
so I don't know. I can't watch it, but they seem to like a guy that's going to just say stupid stuff.
Wow.
I've been around him. Look, I covered him his whole career. I know he's stupid because I've done interviews with him, and we've had arguments about stuff, and I'll tell him where he's wrong. This is before he became a TV star, and the next thing you know, I'll hear him telling people exactly what I told him.
That's even better.
He'll have taken my opinion and go the other way. Oh, he's weak.
So what you're saying is you'd rather watch WrestleMania than Charles Barkley on TV?
There it is.
Would you give us that?
All right, I'll go with that.
Nice.
I'm down with that. Yeah.
Now, I got one more for you here. You were honored at the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Right.
But you made a statement that you felt that it was 10 years too late.
Right.
What did you mean by that? Because do you feel that they harbored any animosity towards you, made you wait just to kind of stick it to you?
No question. There's no question about that. I mean, the people that got in ahead of me, I don't have to name them. You could look it up. Farcical. So, I remember when Mark Heisler, who I definitely respect, the LA Times for years and Philadelphia before that, when he got into the Hall of Fame, it was 2 years ahead of me. And then when I got in, I asked him to write my program piece. The Hall of Fame would say, "Do you have anybody that you want?" I said, "Yeah, Mark knows me as well as anybody." And Mark told me at the time, he said, "I'm so glad that you got in because I felt it was, a worthless honor.
Wow.
That you weren't in there, and that made me feel good because I respect Mark. But those people there that run it, that are still there. Jerry Colangelo wasn't running it then, but to me, it's still the same. They're very vindictive. They definitely took it to length. And I'll tell you, I came very close to rejecting it. And on one hand, I wish I had. On the other hand, it allowed me to say what I wanted to say about the ABA players getting shafted and coaches and everybody from the ABA. And many of them continue to be shafted because of the NBA people, the NBA snobs who were on those committees. So it allowed me to talk about that, and also, even NBA players that were shafted. Like at that time, I mentioned, Dennis Johnson, Chet Walker, Artis Gilmore was ABA and NBA. But I went through a number of guys that were not in the Hall of Fame, and people didn't like it. But so what? Every one, and Jamal Wilkes was another one. And everybody that I mentioned, you could look it up, is now in the Hall of Fame.
See that?
Including the ABA guys, Mel Daniels, Roger Brown, Slick Leonard. I'm not sure if I mentioned Slick that night, but I think I did. And so I felt that was, I paid the price with taking a lot of heat for what I said. But in the end, it proved really, really good. And then in the end, the last part of it is that Mel Daniels asked me to present him at the Hall of Fame when he was inducted, and he was told by Colangelo and DeLeva, who was the second guy in charge there, that no media people are not allowed to present. They're not really in the Hall of Fame.
What? Are you kidding me?
Oh, I'm quoting. So I'll never go back there, and I forget it. So we're not really in the Hall of Fame. It's just another day where the Hall of Fame can make money off of us, and have a dinner and overcharge for it. And so when that happened, I auctioned off my Hall of Fame trophy this past.
Wow.
Yeah, forget it. I mean, it's a joke.
Wow.
It's a joke. It's so hypocritical and sanctimoniously farcical and whatever. I could go on and on about the Hall of Fame, but and then the other day, Matt Calvin. Do you ever hear him?
No.
No. Well, he was in one of the top ABA guards, and his name came up. He's on the list this year. He's been on the list for quite a while. He was a star in the ABA, great shooter, and one of those small guards that you see today, like an Isaiah Thomas, or, that type of guy, but tough, very, very tough guy. Played at USC. Anyway, he sent me a note yesterday, the day before, and said, I'm on the list. If I get inducted, I'd like you to present me. And I told him, I said, Mac, I'll be honored to go for you. If you want me to go there, I'll go for you. I said, but the rule is media cannot present.
That's just a terrible rule. That's a terrible rule.
It's a joke.
It is.
It's a joke. I mean, it's a joke as far as I'm concerned.
Well, especially considering your contribution to the sport of professional basketball.
There's no question.
Yeah.
No question. I mean, what I did for that NBA when it was going nowhere fast. And, I was the first NBA columnist. I was the first specialized columnist in the country, and certainly the first in the NBA. And so, they would beg you to come to games. The New York Post would travel me all over the country.
Wow.
And so, I helped build that NBA. And I'm in as a media person, and I get no respect. And I'm not the only one, but. Anyway, that's enough crying for tonight.
Let me ask you one last thing here. We'll end on a real high note. You got to settle a beef once and for all, because Boston bad boy Iron Mike Pelosi here and we're from Boston.
Yep.
Right.
Everyone always talks about Michael Jordan being the greatest basketball player of all time, but I say, for my money, Bill Russell.
Well, look, I don't know how, again, every time that conversation comes up, they'll always say Jordan. And they'll never give the centers any respect. It's amazing. It's like nobody watched the game before the 90s. And you know what? Most people didn't because, again, like I said, they were drawing nobody. The crowds were nothing. The TV was nothing. The franchises were switching all over the place. And so they give them no credit. So Russell won, 11 out of 13, correct?
That's correct.
13 titles. And, he had all Hall of Famers playing around him. I'm surprised Jim Luskatoff isn't in the Hall of Fame. It always seemed like if you ever actually played for the Celtics, that made you a Hall of Famer.
They have the most Hall of Famers of any NBA team. You're right.
Yeah. So anyway, Russell has to be in that conversation, because those other guys were able to do what they did, and he was able to protect them defensively, and he still scored about 20 a game, and he had about 20 rebounds a game, or I'm not
before they even
guy, but
kept track.
But 11 out of 13, and I don't know how you can't be in that conversation. Now, on one hand, I could say, Russell is the greatest role player ever, because he's not a superstar, because he would do whatever it had to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
Block a shot, defend, make a great pass, dunk on somebody. But yeah, and Wilt has to be in that conversation, and Kareem has to be in that conversation.
But you're not putting them in that conversation above Bill Russell. I mean, come on, Pete. I love you, man, but come on.
I'm putting him in the conversation as the best players ever. Yes, I am.
But you got to put
Wilt in that conversation. Kareem not in that conversation. Please.
Well, I'm just saying that Bill Russell's at the top. That's all I'm saying.
No, he's in the conversation, but you're gonna ask me who's the greatest. I'm gonna have to say Kareem. 6 MVPs, and how many titles did he win?
As much as I'm from Boston, and my heart wants to disagree with you, the look on Duke's face right now is absolutely hilarious.
I can't
because
believe
you
he's
just
doing
crushed
this.
him, and I thank you for it.
No, Peter, I've looked up to you my entire life. I grew up literally Sunday afternoons.
Well, I'm glad to get you off my bandwagon.
I know, right? No, my mom's from Jamaica, and in her side of the family, we would, maybe go to church. Sunday afternoons, we would have our dinner, and we would turn on that NBA, and we would watch you tell it like it is. And for you to come on here now and just completely go the opposite direction
It's
where
awesome.
I was hoped you would go.
It's awesome.
You just really broke my heart, man.
I don't know how you can say completely went the other way. I mean, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
That's right. He's not listening to you. I agree. He's not.
So I don't really care what you think. And what do you mean, Jamaica Queens or Jamaica Montego Bay?
I'm talking Jamaica, the island, brother. Come on, you know.
Yeah, okay, all right, Jamaica. I've been there.
I bet he has. I bet he has. They're still talking about the times Peter was there. Folks, his name is Peter Vescey. He's one of the greatest of all times, the most influential sports journalist in the history of professional basketball. Peter, we'd love to have you on again in the not-too-distant future.
I don't know what else there is to talk about.
Oh.
What do you want me to?
Well, I'd like
to recant on Russell.
No, just if you come on and just shoot down all of Duke's hopes and dreams, that'd be great.
Break.
We'd appreciate that.
You know what?
You've been the most eloquent at doing that so far on this show.
I'm going to send you a copy of the match between Shaq and Big Show, and then we're going to have you critique that. How about that?
Well, I hope I have better things to do.
Man, can you believe that? This guy. Oh, my goodness. He's sharp, boy.
Absolutely. Doesn't mince words.
No, he doesn't. That's why I love him. I mean, he's a legend, but he doesn't care how I feel.
Yeah, he doesn't want you to think he's a legend. He'd rather you not even talk to him.
That's right. Folks, up next, the Boston Bad Boy has more of your listener-submitted questions, a.k.a. Ask Duke. But before we get to any of that, if you're going to be in the Orlando area for WrestleMania weekend, then you got to join the Boston Bad Boy and I at the Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson live special. Say that 3 times fast.
Wow.
This is going down Saturday, April 1st at the back booth, 37 West Pine Street in Orlando. There's no telling what special guests are going to be in the building and what crazy stuff Bruce and Conrad are going to talk about. We already know. You heard Conrad Thompson a couple of weeks ago on this show. He is pretty serious, man. So this is going to be a good time. Check out notarib.com for more info. We'll see you there. Enjoy.
Hey, guys. This is Chelsea, the wrestling femme, and you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
All right, Boston Bad Boy. You've been putting this off long enough, okay? So now we have the return of Ask Duke. And we got all these questions that have piled up for all these weeks here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Well,
enough of your nonsense. Start reading off some of these questions, pal. Come on.
The questions have been subpar, let me tell you. And you put it up on social media today.
I did.
Asking for questions. And I thought I had the most important question, which is why am I still stuck here? But what I will say, as soon as I jumped on that status, man,
Lord.
It brought the people in.
Listen, Twitter had a lot more, just so you know, okay?
Yeah. That's funny, because I don't have the Twitter.
Yeah.
And,
Dingo. You hear that, Dingo?
I don't have the Twitter. But on Facebook, what I do have to call out is somebody who said I'm going to call out, Dan.
Yep.
With his bad attitude?
That's right.
I didn't like his attitude.
Dan, he's something else. He's a wizard,
Well, he's got the hair for it.
Yeah.
I'll say that. He does have wizard hair. I was trying to think of, that is, I thought that he was maybe in sort of, Renaissance festival or fair. Well, wizard makes sense now.
Well,
Thank
he's
you.
he's the heel of Duke's Rasslin crew.
Really?
So he comes in and he says, "Hello, peons," and all these things.
Right,
this is his gimmick, right?
Does he have the sleeve, the really long, the wide sleeves that hang down,
and long nails?
And
but here's the best part about him.
Yeah,
he actually is very prominent in his church.
Okay.
So it's an interesting thing that he's a wizard.
Yeah.
But he's also a very serious church guy. And he's a heel.
Does that? Yeah. How does that?
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot
with this
going
guy.
on with Dan.
Yeah,
So it's like
Yeah.
we can all appreciate a heel, but just watch the attitude, Jack.
Tell him right now. See that?
I don't want
Dan?
to put a spell on me.
We warned you, Danny boy. We warned you. That's right.
Yeah, we will get to questions today.
All right,
and
good. Because enough of your nonsense.
Well, it's funny. One of the questions that isn't written here, and it's better. A friend of mine I was chatting with today, and
you
brought
have
up
friends, huh?
I do. Outside of here, I am a real person.
Wow.
Outside of my contractually obligated sitting with you,
Yeah.
doing this show, which I never should have signed that contract.
Hey, I signed your life.
So my buddy brings up a point, and I thought it was very, very valid. And it just had to do with wrestling. He says that he doesn't watch it too much anymore. He was a big fan back in the day. And he said one of the things he sort of turned him off about it was lack of storyline. And I'm talking just the feel of storylines. Okay, so and I agreed. And the more I thought about it, the more I agreed. And I know you're going to disagree because that's what you are wont to do. But
there we go.
Give me a storyline. Give me like just one of the semi-recent storylines. Just a basic thing. I don't pick anybody. Pick any wrestler. Pick anything.
Okay. All right. Well, let's say earlier in 2016,
Yeah.
you had Baron Corbin was battling with Apollo Crews.
Okay.
And I don't really know why they were wrestling.
Okay, so you don't know why. So you get two guys.
They're putting the program with each other.
And so what are their gimmicks? I mean, are they're just hunky guys?
Well, Corbin is the end of days guy. He's here to bring destruction and death to the world.
Does he have a cool wizard hat or anything?
Oh, he has crazy hair. He has receding hairline like Hulk Hogan or something. I don't know. But he's supposed to be this big bad dude.
Sure. But it's
the lone wolf.
Yeah. Okay. So they got these names. They've got monikers. Yeah. I think personally, the gimmick game is weak in the WWE lately. Because and the more I thought about it, there you go. You just described to me the most boring. You don't even know why these two guys were fighting. It's just sort of like reality show crap. It's like conflict just designed to be conflict. Back in the day, it may have bordered on cartoonish, but it was something you could kind of get into and suspend disbelief. Let me compare that middling, muddling, tepid storyline with something like Sergeant Slaughter turns on America.
Oh, God.
So here you get this guy, Sergeant Slaughter.
Are you kidding me right now?
Sergeant Slaughter was a G.I. Joe action figure, okay?
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter was, and he turns on America, and then who comes to save the day?
Hulk Hogan.
America's hero, Hulk Hogan. And what a great thing.
Are you really comparing
you look up to
Hulk
these guys?
Hogan and Baron Corbin with each other? Is that what you're doing right now?
No, I'm saying there's absolutely no. It's a shame that there's absolutely no comparison between the two, because they've come so far from where they had inventive, funny storylines bordering on irreverent. I mean, you had guys like Iron Sheik, you had guys like Sergeant Slaughter, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you Jake the Snake. What was better than seeing these guys when they were on the Saturday morning shows, right? They had the big name guy fighting against a guy like Rudy, one of the workers, and they'd always have, they would win because you want to see their finishing move or whatever. You'd get to see the snake, as it were, or whatever their gimmick. The character won. It was like the old Batman Rogues Gallery, and then once in a while, two of the big guys, two of the big characters would come together. And now we don't know what's going to happen because we're used to seeing them always win against the lower tier guys. Now, all these guys, name the top 5 wrestlers in WWE.
Well,
just name popular guys.
John Cena, AJ Styles.
They all sound like
no good Roman Reigns.
They sound like a varsity, a college varsity lacrosse team. Like these could all. Where's the fun? Where can I get behind this? Where can somebody who's not really a fan of wrestling go, that's actually pretty funny?
Vince McMahon, I do not sanction anything this guy says.
Of course you don't.
Right now, okay?
Of course you don't, because you could never go against Vince, even though he is creatively bankrupt. And maybe because he's gotten this far because he had to put all his energy into rigging the United States election to get Trump in
Would you
there.
Stop? Would you ask a real question here?
That was a real question. I might just shut this whole
Every one of your buddies are absolutely out of their mind, just so you know.
Well,
okay?
Again, I have friends. That's called a differing opinion. I know that you sit and read old wrestling magazines from the 1980s. That's what your idea of fun is. But the rest of us have to interact with other people.
Oh, give me a
All
break.
All right, fine. We'll do some questions. We'll do some questions.
Guy.
All right. First question. I'm going into this blind. I'm not even going to pre-read it because you know how angry I get.
Please.
First question comes from L.J. Winfield. L.J. Winfield sounds wealthy. Only wealthy people go by initials.
L.J. Winfield III.
Exactly. Thurston Howell.
No.
Will the Becky Lynch Alexa Bliss cage match live up to the hype?
How cool is that we're about to see another women's cage match? And I'm telling you right now, Alexa Bliss, who I keep telling you, she's one to watch. Okay? She's amazing. She's fantastic. For my money, she's top 5 in the entire company because she's just that damn good. She's going to bring it, okay, because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. But that no good Becky Lynch, she's hot and cold. One day that she's doing very well, next day she's terrible. So as long as Becky Lynch holds up her end of the bargain, it'll be a great match. But I have my reservations because Becky Lynch, her head is not always in the game.
I love how you always hedge your answer. You can never, because come next week or whenever after this happens, you're going to say, well, you know, I never really said that would be the right thing.
Give me a break.
Give. I don't know if LJ's a man or woman. Give the person an answer.
I did. I said that it'll be a great match as long as Becky Lynch is head in the game because she's the weak link in that whole situation.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
Alexa Bliss is amazing. Come on.
Next question.
Next,
let's move on.
5 feet of fury.
I'm already aggravated with you.
Oh, God.
This next one... You do this on purpose. You enjoy this.
Oh, God.
The next one comes from, and I'm promising our listeners this is not a sexual act innuendo, from Minotaur Knuckles.
Wow, what a name. What a name. I
Again,
wouldn't want to play with that person.
I think I've seen that in certain stores.
Yeah.
Minotaur Knuckles. I think that's...
wow.
Yeah. So, Minotaur Knuckles, who better never submit a question again, asks, will Nia Jax continue to get pushed? She's a physical force, but doesn't fit your previous mold for women wrestlers in the WWE.
Well, I like the fact
I like how she said "your," by the way, meaning because you're so in collusion with these people in the WWE.
Obviously, right? I like the fact that he answered the question as he asked the question. I don't really understand. But Nia Jax will absolutely continue to get pushed. You know why?
Why?
I'm not going to say because she's The Rock's cousin. Because... exactly what Minotaur Knuckles said. She doesn't fit the mold of your everyday diva. She's a big, bad force. And she's just beating the hell out of everybody. Although you better keep your hands off of my Sasha Banks. I'll tell you that right now.
She's just big-boned.
Well, she's serious, though. She can work, which I appreciate, you know, and she's really starting to get her head in the game, which is always nice to see. No, I think she's going to be champion before the year is over. No two ways about it. She's going to win that belt.
So you're thinking that because it's not a detriment to not sort of
it's helping
fit
her.
The profile.
It's helping her because there's no one like her right now in the company, so it helps her.
Yeah, I think that uniqueness helps. But if you become part of an unpopular trend, is then when as long as you're unique there, you're not part of some declining.
You need a monster for the baby face to eventually beat, right? But you got to have a monster first,
right? You have to define the monster.
Yes, and she can fit that role.
All right, here we go again. The names. Okay, how about this one? This one's from Milk Gotti.
How cool is that name, huh? Milk Gotti.
It's not cool.
Is he related to John Gotti? I don't know. We don't know.
Jesus. Talk about milk toast. He's a rat. Nothing but a rat.
Nice.
Milk Gotti says, Duke, who do you have winning the... Who do you got? Who do you got winning the Royal Rumble this year? Who you got?
Damn, I don't even... You know what? There's so many stars. I don't know where to go. It would be nice if Chris Jericho won. And then he challenged Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship, but that would probably make too much sense. I expect The Undertaker to win. John Cena is going to beat AJ Styles for the championship, the heavyweight championship, and then they're going to battle at WrestleMania. It'll be Undertaker's career against the heavyweight championship that John Cena holds.
Interesting.
That'll be the biggest match in years.
So maybe they are bringing him back. Again, Undertaker, another great gimmick.
He's going to be in the he's going to be in the Royal Rumble.
And I think that the fact that they're bringing him or keeping him so active, given his health issues and his longevity, shows that it's like the last good gimmick they came up with.
Well,
which, you know what I mean?
It's the greatest gimmick of all time. It really is.
It really is. And
Yeah.
so, and its lasting power has shown it as such.
Stop patting yourself.
Why
on the back,
can't
please.
Why can't they come up with something new? I don't have to reinvent the wheel, but something clever, something different, something.
Well, maybe
a
if
little
you would
irreverent.
tune in, you would see something new. Did you ever think
You
about
just
that?
explained to me that I don't need to bother
Oh,
tuning in,
give me a
especially to
break.
that third hour of Raw
All right.
where there's even less
All right.
going on.
Well, you're not going to start this early here. Come on.
Billy Goat Gruff. God. Things I'd never thought I'd be saying out loud in my life. Billy Goat Gruff wants to know, is Alexa Bliss this generation's Trish Stratus?
Yes. Yes, she is. She's amazing. Absolutely, Alexa Bliss is this generation's Trish Stratus.
Are all these names just you and your aliases making up questions? These are people?
These are people.
Because you seem awfully enthused about answering these, and I wonder, because no one really challenges you. No one asks you any tough questions.
Oh, give me a break.
It's all this
That's a great
opinion
question.
stuff.
That's a great question. And yes, I would say she is. Alexa Bliss is by far an MVP. Look how many times we've mentioned her on this show. This is great. Alexa, 5 Feet of Fury. We're pulling for you.
I don't think she's coming on the show.
She will.
No, because you profess your love for Sasha Banks.
Oh,
obviously.
my God. Ask
I
the
think that's
next
what you did.
question.
All right, one more here from, my old nemesis. My old nemesis has joined us in the circle.
Okay.
My friend J-Mob.
So you talk about me, right?
Yeah.
And you got a guy named J-Mob.
Yeah, well, you know what? I gave him that name, and I know it's going to piss him off. So that's why I'm giving him that name.
Oh, okay.
So,
Nice.
I think he's afraid his family's going to find out he's into wrestling. It's
See
one
that?
of these sort of closeted
He's
wrestling
in there.
fans.
Yep,
Yeah. And
the worst kind.
Boy, yeah. He's a good guy, but and knows a hell of a lot about wrestling.
But he doesn't want to admit it to the world.
Well, maybe we can help him. Maybe we can help.
J-Mob, I challenge you to come on the show. Come on. Put your big boy pants on. Come on the show.
Well,
Talk to the
we'll
dude.
see. We'll see. But
Yeah, you're
so
afraid. You
he's
won't.
asking a question which I think we touched upon at the end of last year, which was status. Who are your current 3 favorite wrestlers and why? And actually, it's a little bit different because we talked about who you think were like in 2016.
Yeah,
who
I
were the
don't-
best.
yeah, I haven't-
He wants to know
My favorites.
Yeah, because
which
he's
is
trying to
different.
get a line on you. Because he
Okay.
always asks me about you, and I said, you know what? You're like a question
Everybody
mark.
wants to
You're
know about me.
Well, you're like a loudmouthed question mark
Oh,
who
give me
thinks
a
you're right all the
break.
time.
What?
So it's best that a question is just asked directly, and he can understand you in your totally irreverent answer that you're going to give about
all
this.
right. Well, first,
Your
of all,
3 favorite wrestlers currently. Go.
AJ Styles, absolutely without a doubt. He's the best wrestler in the world right now. No two ways about it. Lo Shirai, who is a Joshi wrestler, and she's unbelievable. I hope the WWE signs her because she's just fantastic. She can kick everybody's butt. And, of course, I got to say, my man, Shinsuke Nakamura, who I'm hoping and praying he gets moved up into the main roster.
I got to say, I'm surprised.
Why are you surprised?
Because you're dabbling outside of the WWE here a little bit with some of your picks.
Well, hey,
You're taking a path slightly off the path
Listen,
that I
I
thought
know
you
wrestling
would take.
around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Don't play me.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Give me a break. Those are my picks.
All right. Well, I'm glad we answered that question, but I'm going to continue busting your chops about that because I know that you are a wrestling elitist. You are a wrestling snob.
My Buddha. Here we go.
And I'm gonna because it actually brings to light something good, which is a good point. So this past week, as you know, Wrestle Kingdom 11 took place.
Okay.
Okay. And
So what?
well, no, I'm gonna
Most overrated card of the year.
I'm going
So
to
what?
expose you
Okay.
for the corporate shill that you
Oh,
are once again.
Here we go.
So, Wrestle Kingdom 11 takes place this week, and it has a match, a well-talked-about match between Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega.
I'm impressed that you were able to say that name, by the way.
Trust me.
You've been brushing up on your Japanese.
I took a first in Oriental languages,
Oh, God, stop it.
as James Bond once said. So that match takes place. Wrestlers, fans of wrestling, journalists all have stated it was one of the greatest matches of all time. And you're already bitching and moaning, so I know that you probably disagree. But the real point is Dave Meltzer rated it 6 out of 5, which means
He
the
can't
greatest.
count.
Well,
It means he can't count.
what it means is he's making a point that it is the greatest match he's ever seen. And He's the expert. So I want to know from you, since, again, you've already started bitching about this, and you're such a great wrestling analyst, air quotes, why do you disagree with Dave Meltzer?
Because Dave Meltzer is completely off of his rocker, and let me tell you why.
Please enlighten me why a guy who made a career out of being an analyst, more so than you have, actually...
Well, he's older than me. Give me some time.
Yeah,
Give me some time.
How about have some cohesive answers to questions and some cohesive analysis, and maybe you can get to where Dave Meltzer is. But go ahead.
Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega, they put on a very good match, okay? But it wasn't even the best match of the past year. You can't tell me that Sasha Banks and Charlotte, that final match that they had on Raw, or even the match that the Iron Woman's match, the TLC match, you can't tell me AJ Styles and John Cena. You can't tell me Sami Zayn and Nakamura. But we'll go back even further than that. Ric Flair?
All right. You're off the rails now.
You're going to tell me that these guys wrestled a match better than Ric Flair?
Here it is. Your ass-kissing of the WWE is showing.
Oh, my God.
Because I want you to name for me something that didn't happen over 15 years ago and something that wasn't part of the WWE. Go. Name a match. Name a great match. Go ahead. That wasn't, back in dinosaur times and also isn't just outside the purview of the WWE. Go ahead.
Listen.
No, go ahead. No, answer the question.
AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura out of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which happened a couple years back. Well, the same promotion that this match happened. I'd say that was a better match than this nonsense that happened at Wrestle Kingdom 11.
No, because what you're doing is you are limiting yourself because these are two guys who work outside your buddy's system, okay? Uncle Vince has no purview over them right now.
Okay.
And that's why you can't admit when everybody else, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Forget about Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Forget about I'm going to have him give you a stunner and see how much you forget about it.
He's been dropped on his head. He doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. He's only tagging on to Dave Meltzer because it's the hot thing to say. Oh, this is the greatest match of all time. Are you kidding me?
I love that. He was dropped on his head, so he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Flair Steamboat.
You know, I was reading something in the news regarding politics, and I'm not going to get it too far into it, but it was because John McCain passed along this information to the FBI recently about potential issues. He got something. He said, I'm going to pass it down the chain. People are turning against John McCain, saying he was programmed by the North Vietnamese. Oh, he must have been. He's out to get. That's like you saying Stone Cold Steve Austin was dropped on his head.
Well, That's not a lie. He was.
Okay, yeah, he was, but that suddenly
broke his neck.
He's been suddenly changed that he's so completely far out into orbit that he can't agree with everybody else. You're the only one that knows the reason. You have the answer.
There is no way on God's green earth that Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, any of their trilogies in the 90s, or even Steamboat versus Savage at WrestleMania.
How about something in this century? How about something in this millennium? That wasn't inside WWE. You don't have it.
Look.
It's a conspiracy. No. And you know what? I'm starting to think you're maybe on Vince's
You're out
payroll.
Of your mind. Listen, folks, we're wrapping this guy up because of all the things that say to me right now, he's talking nonsense.
What did Vince have for lunch? Because I know you get your head so far up that you can tell what he had for lunch.
Thank you, Peter Vescey, for joining us this week.
Yeah, Peter Vescey, which by the way, agreed with me and shot you down. Which was, I might rewind the show. I might rewind the show and listen to it again. It was so good.
I can't believe you had the audacity to talk this nonsense here.